In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to crochet the wattle stitch. That's W-A-T-T-L-E, wattle. It's a one row repeated pattern, so it's the same on the back as it is on the front. You get a lovely texture with the pattern. Again, nice for making blankets or for making scarves. It's a nice soft pattern, so it would be nice and soft next to your skin. Not too many sort of ridges and lumps and bumps in it, so I think it would make quite a nice scarf. So let's have a look at the tutorial. So for this tutorial I'm going to be using a double knit yarn. I believe this is the Stylecraft DK in Rose. I don't have the label anymore, sorry. I'm using a 4.5mm hook. I'm using a pair of scissors to cut off my end and a needle to sew in my end. I'm using a 4.5 with a DK because I like things to be slightly drapier, especially with the lacy stitches. So that's why I've gone up half a hook size. You could easily use a 4mm, or if you want it really drapey you could use a 5mm. So we're going to start off by making a foundation chain. Now our foundation chain needs to be made in multiples of 3 plus 2 extras. So make a slip knot in whichever way you prefer. And for this sample piece I'm going to do foundation chain of 17, so that's a multiple of 3 plus my 2 extras. So I yarn over and pull back through the loop to make a chain. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go up to 17, so pause the video now and I will join you when you've made your foundation chain. So I've made my foundation chain in a multiple of 3 plus 2, and we're now going to work on row 1. So row 1 works into the second chain from the hook, so we never count the one on the hook. So 1, 2, that's the chain we're going to work into, and into there we're going to work a double crochet, chain 1 and a treble. So insert, yarn over, pull through. You should have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both of those loops. There's your double crochet, yarn over, pull through to chain 1 and then a treble, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull back through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're then going to skip the next 2 chains, so we skip this one, and in the next chain we're going to do the same little V cluster. So we're going in with a double crochet, chain 1 and then a treble. Skip 2 chains, into the next one, we're going in with exactly the same, into all the same chain, a double crochet, chain 1 and a treble into the same chain. And we're going to work that all the way down the row. So skip 2, into the next chain, 1 double crochet, 1 chain, 1 treble. And just to point out that I am using UK terminology here. If you follow US you'll want 1 single crochet, 1 chain, 1 double crochet. So pause the video now and I will see you when you get to the end of your row. So I've come to my last 3 chains. Now often when you're doing a pattern like this you'll have something different at the end, like 2 trebles or something. This one is exactly the same. You skip 2, you do your double crochet, you chain 1 and you do your treble. Exactly the same as you've done all the way through the row. And there you have row 1 complete. So for row 2 then we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. And this is where it starts getting super easy because we're going to work into all the 1 chain spaces. So if you can find the 1 chain spaces all the way along your row, that's what we're going to be working into. So the first 1 chain space you've chained one, you skip a stitch, and that first chain space is there. So in here we're going to do exactly the same cluster as before. So we go in with a double crochet, a chain one, and a treble. Look for the next one chain space and be careful not to go into the gaps underneath. So there's your chain, and we go in with a double, a chain, and a treble. Find the next one chain space, double crochet, chain, and treble, and we do this all the way down the line. So pause the video now whilst you continue to the end of the row, and I will see you at the end of the row. So I come to the end of the row, and there's my last chain space, and I'm going to do the double crochet, chain one, and a treble, and that's all we do in there. We don't do anything else at the end of that row. So that's row 2, and row 2 is the repeated pattern throughout however long you want to make your piece of work. So it starts off with the chain one, find the first space, and you work in the first space with your double, chain one, and a treble. Skip to the next chain one space and go in there with a double, a chain one, and a treble. So work your way along each of those rows in exactly the same way. So into all the one chain spaces, you're going to work one double crochet, one chain, one treble. At the end of the row, when you've done the last chain space, chain one, turn your work, and then start again. So I'm just going to work up a few more rows for you to see what it looks like, and I will see you in a moment. So I've just worked up a few more rows for you to see how it looks. So you get a lovely drape on this fabric. Now the ends will be wobbly, so if you're somebody who likes dead straight ends, then you're not going to get that with this pattern, because we don't go into the chains at the start of the row, we go into that chain space, so there's this little bit sort of left at the side. If you went into that, because your first row goes right at the start, your first cluster, sorry, goes right at the start, you'd still end up with sort of bobbles. So that is how to do the wattle stitch. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm to show it to other crocheters. I will pop 2 more videos on screen to help you on your crochet journey, and I will see you over there. Thank you so much for joining me on this one, and happy hooking!